So yesterday we have started with the fourth module. So here in this module we will be looking at the various programming languages and their features, especially the embedded programming languages. So before that, we need to understand some of the advantages and disadvantages of assembly language programming before dealing with the high-level languages. So I think yesterday we have discussed about the advantages and disadvantages as well. So just a recap of what we have seen yesterday. Advantages of assembly language programming is have a look at this. So basically, assembly language programming advantage. One is that the program size will be compact. As the programmer is well aware of the internal structure of the processor or its architecture, the program that he creates will be compact. That will be to the precise. It will be having a precise size. Another advantage is that it is following a bottom-up design. Bottom-up design in the sense the functional modules will be created, then only the main program will be developed. So starting from modules, and then by combining these modules, we'll be creating the bigger program. So that is what we mean by bottom-up design. So two things. One is the coding is done by the programmer who is well aware of the internal architecture and the structure. Memories and registers and all. Who is aware of all those things. So that the program size will be compact. So the memory requirement also has come down and the performance increases. These are all interrelated. And the other one is it follows a bottom-up design where the initially the smaller modules have been created at first, and then by combining these smaller modules, a larger module is been formed or larger set of program is been formed. And these were the drawbacks of assembly language. Even though assembly language had a set of advantages, it has got some disadvantages. There is high development time. That is, the programmer or the user will have to study the entire architecture of the processor. So that will consume more time, and that's why we say that it will be having a high development time. Then developer dependency. Developer dependency in the sense the set of instructions will be particularly for that architecture. Or it will be processor dependent. Okay. So that is, we cannot, the program set of instructions or the programs that are created for a particular family of processor cannot be used for another family. So that's why we call it as non-portable. So these are some of the disadvantages of assembly-based development. So until this, we have seen yesterday. Now we will see the high-level language-based development. Okay. So in the case of high-level language-based development, high-level languages, you will be aware of the following high-level languages like C, C++, Java. So they are actually supported by a cross-compiler. Please note that term, cross-compiler. That is actually used for converting the application developed in high-level language to target processor specific assembly code. Okay. Cross compiler in the sense we may not be doing that program in the processor. Namla processor program, but there will be a compiler which converts the program or the application that we developed to the target processor. Okay. I will explain that later. There is a term called cross compiler. Please remember that. In case of high level languages, that is one of the advantage. Usually we had compilers, but in case of high level languages, we are depending upon cross compilers. We will be studying that in detail later. So these are the common high level languages like C, C++, and Java. The most commonly used high level language for embedded application development is C. The reason for that is C is well defined, easy to use high level language with extensive cross platform development tools. And similar to the conversion that we had earlier, നമ്മൾ assembly language അവിടെ പഠിച്ച പോലെ തന്നെ we are having a conversion over here also. So whatever be the I have mentioned at that time itself, whatever be the type of language that you code in, നമ്മൾ high level language code ചെയ്താലും even assembly language code ചെയ്താലും there needs to be a conversion to a machine language format. അല്ലെ machine language ആയിട്ട് ഇതിനെ convert ചെയ്യണം. Assembly language we used assemblers അല്ലെ assembler ആയിരുന്നു നമ്മൾ ഈ conversion വേണ്ടി യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു for converting .asm or .source ഈ ഫയൽസിനെ നമ്മൾ assembler through ആണ് നമ്മൾ object file ആക്കി convert ചെയ്തത്. But here we are depending upon module cross compilers. So here also you can see the modules, different modules. Okay, modular approach or modular programming is also possible in high level language. So you can see the source file 1, module cross compiler creating the object file 1, and finally these two objects along with the library files will be combined with the help of the linker. Okay, object file output എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് that will be a relocatable file. That is, they won't be aware of the place in memory. അല്ലെ മെമ്മറിയിൽ എവിടെ ഇരിക്കണം എന്നുള്ള കാര്യം ഈ ഒബ്ജക്ട് ഫയൽസിന്റെ ഔട്ട്പുട്ടിന് അറിയില്ല. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ .obj ഫയൽസിന് they won't be aware of that. So that will be provided by the locator, and linker will be combining the object files and library files to form the absolute object file, and finally it will be converted into the hex file. Okay, this is actually the process. What a difference cross compiler has come in instead of assembler. Okay, you can draw the figure if you want. Completed. Yes, coming to the term cross compiler. Translation of high level source code to executable object code is done by a cross compiler. The cross compilers for different high level languages for the same target processor are different. Okay, it should be noted that each high level language should have a cross compiler for converting the high level source code to the target processor machine code. So you can note the second point, the cross compilers for different high level languages. So the cross compilers are actually the language dependent. Like if we are using C, we will be requiring a cross compiler for that. If we are using C++, then a cross compiler for that. Or if you are using Java, then you need a cross compiler for that. So in that sense, whether you have the same target processor, even if your target processor remains the same, the cross compilers for different high level languages will be different. നമ്മൾ generally embedded systemത്തിന്റെ കേസിൽ even when you use a term called compiler, നമ്മൾ compiler എന്ന് പറയുകയാണെങ്കിലും you just think that is actually a cross compiler. ചില സമയത്ത് embedded systemത്തിന്റെ കേസിൽ നമ്മൾ compiler എന്ന് മാത്രമേ പറയുള്ളൂ, but actually that is cross compiler in terms of embedded systems. Okay, embedded systemത്തിന്റെ കേസിൽ it will be cross compilers. So without cross compiler support, a high level language cannot be used for embedded firmware development. You can see that the source code is actually been developed in the host machine. Host machine lana nammal source code develop cheythathu, but that is not actually compiled for that machine itself. Aa machine vendi thanne alla compilation nadakkunnu. That is actually, or that compiling process is actually done for target machine. Okay, that's why it is called as a cross compiler. So basically we will be having some types of compilers. You might have heard, I'm not sure about that, but oops il ningal padichittundu enikku you will be having a set of compilers like native compilers, then you have cross compiler, then you will have source to source compiler. Angane kore compiler types then undu. Native compiler in the sense we will be that operation, the compiling operation will be performed on the host machine itself, for that host machine itself. Aa host machine vendi thannulla operation ആയിരിക്കും compiler ഓട് perform ചെയ്യുക. Okay, compiler എന്താ ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ഈ പറയുന്ന high level language it will be converting that to object file. Okay, ഈ object file conversion വന്നത് high level language to object file conversion is actually done for the system on which the code is programmed. ഏത് സിസ്റ്റത്തിലാണ് ആ കോഡ് എഴുതിയത് ആ സിസ്റ്റത്തിലേക്ക് തന്നെയാണ് ഈ കൺവേർഷൻ ആവശ്യമെങ്കിൽ we will call it as just a compiler. If it is done for, if that conversion of high level language to object file is done for some other target machines, then it is actually done by a cross compiler. You can see the difference as well. Native compiler and cross compiler. Native compiler in the case translates program for the same hardware or platform or machine on it is running. Okay, translates the program for same hardware or machine on it is running. Whereas in the case of cross compiler, translates the program for different hardware, platform or machine other than the platform on which it is running. എവിടെയാണോ നമ്മൾ റൺ ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ആ കമ്പൈലർ നമ്മൾ എവിടെയാണോ റൺ ചെയ്യുന്നത് ആ മെഷീന് വേണ്ടി അല്ലാതെ വേറൊരു മെഷീന് വേണ്ടിയാണ് നമ്മൾ ആ ഓപ്പറേഷൻ പെർഫോം ചെയ്യുന്നതെങ്കിൽ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ ഒരു കൺവേർഷൻ നമ്മൾ പെർഫോം ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ആക്ച്വലി ക്രോസ് കമ്പൈലർ. Then native compiler is second point. It is used to build programs for the same system or machine and operating system it is installed. Then cross compiler in the case it is used to build programs for other system or machine like AVR or ARM. Native compiler it is dependent on system or machine and operating system. Cross compiler has to be independent of system or machine. It can generate, native compiler can generate executable file like .exe, whereas in the case of cross compiler it will be generating .hex file. Turbo C is actually an example for native compiler. Heal is a cross compiler. Heal is actually used in embedded systems. നിങ്ങൾ C പ്രോഗ്രാമിംഗിൽ ഡെസ്ക്ടോപ്പിൽ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടാവില്ലേ? You might have done that, at least few of you. So where you have depended upon Turbo C and all. So where we are actually writing that program, we can either do that in the compiler. നമ്മൾ എപ്പോഴും പ്രോഗ്രാം ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് you will compile it and then you will perform the run operation. So if that compiling operation is done for that host machine itself, then it is actually a native compiler. If that conversion is actually done for another target processor or machine, then it will be a cross compiler. That's a fundamental difference. Embedded system eppozhum we are actually depending upon the cross compilers. വരയ്ക്കാത്തൊരു ജസ്റ്റ് ഒന്ന് വരച്ചു വെച്ചു. Sometimes it can be asked regarding the cross compiler. Then let's see some of the advantages of high-level languages. Basic advantages of high-level language coding are as follows. First one is program development cycle is in high-level languages of much shorter duration due to the following. The program development life cycle was actually a bit longer process in case of assembly language, since our development process it can be done only after the user or programmer is having an intense knowledge about the architecture. But here, due to the following things, that is, first one is use of routines or functions in C or C++ and methods in Java. use of standard library functions, use of modular programming approach, top-down design or object-oriented design approaches. So these are the reasons because of which the program development cycle has become much shorter in the case of high-level language. Now we will see each of these one by one. So first one was use of routines or functions in C or C++. We are actually dealing with advantages of high-level language. That is first point on program development cycle will be of short duration, which is actually of because of these reasons. That is first reason the use of routines. So what is a routine of function? A function defines a set of statements or commands or a method of operation which runs when that function is called. You are aware of that. Function, inter-service routine function. A set of commands or instructions for specifically for performing a particular task. A particular task is a set of operations. Function and whenever it is called, it will come and perform the function and we can return to the main function. That is one thing. We can have functions. Okay, we can have functions. That is one of the reasons by which high-level language is of much shorter duration. Library functions. Library functions are standard functions which are readily available to a programmer, and the codes for them are not defined by the programmer. Library function defines whenever we want to hide the program, what we do is we won't be revealing the program, but we will maintain that in a header file with the help of library functions. So library functions are standard functions which are readily available to the programmer or the user, and the codes for them are not defined by the programmer. Okay, that are not actually defined by the programmer, that is actually available within the library. Okay. For example, square root function. Square root function that function itself will have a set of commands or codes. That is an example for that. The use of standard library function square root saves the programmer's time for coding. New sets of library functions such as delay, wait, and sleep exist in embedded system specific C or C++ compiler. That was the second reason. First was routines of functions. Second was use of standard library functions. Then is about modular programming. I'm already modular programming in the case of that. We will be having a main program. In that itself, we will be having some sub-programs. Sub-programs modules. So these modules can be repeatedly used in the main program. Okay, modular programming is an approach in which building blocks of a software program are some other reusable software components. Reusable software components are modules. It is actually built by software components, and the components are built by set of functions. Example is actually given. Making a calculator software using Java can be done as modular programming using the pre-built Java program modules for the calculator keys. So if you want to write a program for the entire functionality of a calculator, you're having a calculator and you need to write a program, dealing with the entire functionality of calculator. If we are having a separate modules for the different calculator keys, then we can use that in our main program. Keys program, if we are having that available, we can make use of that in the main program. So that is what we mean by modular programming. So modular programming is actually a property of high-level language programming. Like our assembly language programming, here the approach is top-down design. Top-down design in the sense, initially the main program will be first designed or written, and then only its modules and submodules will be written. Okay. Whereas in the case of ALP or assembly language programming, we initially created the modules or functions, then only we created the larger module. Initially, modules created that we combined them to form a larger module. In case of bottom-up approach in assembly language programming, here we are actually following an entirely opposite approach, which is top-down design. these were the first coming under the first point. First point, one of the basic advantage of high-level language coding is that program development cycle will be of much shorter duration because of the following reasons. Use of functions or routines, use of standard library functions, use of modular programming approach, and then top-down design approach. And these were the reasons for having a shorter program development cycle. That was the first advantage. Going to the second one. A high-level language program facilitates declaration of data types. Okay, declaration of data types is possible in high-level language. You may be aware of data types. Data types in object-oriented programming. Are you aware of that? Data type. Int, char, are you aware of that? Yes. Okay. We are having many data types. I mean, in this manner, data types just have a look at that. So that is actually been provided by high-level language programs. That is another advantage of high-level language program. That is, it will provide or facilitate declaration of data types. Data type declaration simplify the programming. For example, there are 4 types of integers: int, unsigned int, short, and long. When dealing with positive values only, we declare a variable as unsigned int. In arithmetic calculations, we need a signed integer. An integer can also be declared as short or long. Another data type is char, which is used to manipulate the text and strings for a character. ABC അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി നമ്മൾ char എന്ന് പറയുന്ന data type use ചെയ്യും. If we are dealing with numbers, we will be using int or unsigned int, short and long. അങ്ങനെ നമുക്ക് കുറെ data types available ആണ്. To choose the right data type is also of primary concern. നമുക്ക് ആവശ്യമുള്ള കറക്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഡാറ്റ ടൈപ്പ് തന്നെ നമ്മൾ ചൂസ് ചെയ്യുക. ബിക്കോസ് സിൻസ് വി ആർ ഡീലിംഗ് when we are dealing with embedded system, the primary concern will be memory usage ആണ് നമ്മുടെ primary concern എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So we should be taking care of selection of the proper data types. So these are the set of data types. You can see that. Need not write that, just go through that. Yes. Coming to the third point, high-level language program facilitates type checking. This makes the program less prone to error. For example, the type checking in the sense data type checking. Okay, data type checking ആണ് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. The type checking does not permit subtraction, multiplication, and division on the char data types. Char data types എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് character data types ആണ്. There we are actually dealing with strings or letters, അല്ലേ? Alphabets വരെ deal ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ് നമ്മൾ character data types. That should not actually permit a subtraction, multiplication, or division, anything like that. Okay, so that type checking is actually possible in high-level language program. Then another property is that high-level language program facilitates use of program flow control structures. Program flow control structures in the sense loops and conditional statements. You will be aware of that. While loop, do while loop, for loop, break, continue, etc. So this is also another feature of high-level languages. That is, they facilitate the use of program flow control structures. That is the fourth advantage or fourth feature. Another one is a high-level language program code is not processor specific, hence it is portable. Assembly language in the case of drawback, it's non-portable characteristic. Assembly language in the case it was non-portable. But here, high-level language program code is not processor specific, hence it is portable. Therefore, when the hardware changes, only the modules for the device drivers and device management, initialization, etc. needs modification. Basic programming will change. Only the modules corresponding to the device drivers, device management and initialization need some modifications. So operating system will take care of the above issues as well. ഈ പറയുന്ന device driver, device management and initialization അതിലുള്ള modification എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് that will be taken care of by operating system. So high level language program is not processor specific. Okay, these were the advantages of high level language. Program development life cycle of shorter duration. Then it facilitates declaration of data types. It facilitates type checking. Then it facilitates use of program flow control structures like loops and conditional statements. Finally, it allows, or it is not processor specific, hence it is portable in nature. So these were the features. Coming to embedded C, we are having certain additional advantage. Embedded C in the sense that is a subset of C programming. Embedded system like use we will call it as embedded C. There are some comparisons as well that we will see later. Embedded system we use C programming in a subset. Okay, that's why embedded C is C in the short form. Embedded system programmers prefer C for the following special features or reasons. Assembly codes can be embedded into C program codes using inline assembly. So there is a feature called inline assembly, through which assembly codes, remember assembly codes can be embedded into the C program codes using that feature called inline assembly. Availability of special modules in C compilers for embedded systems. Availability of library codes that can directly insert into the user program codes. So these are the special features of embedded C. One is that assembly codes can be embedded into C program by using inline assembly. Availability of special modules in C compilers for embedded systems. Availability of library codes that can be directly inserted into the user program codes. Now we will see what is inline assembly. It is a possible facility of inserting assembly language codes in between a high level language. So C programming code, we can actually insert assembly language codes in between that. That particular facility is there, that is actually provided by inline assembly. So that's advantage. The complex part of the program can be written in high level language, and the assembly language can be used for code sections that need direct hardware control. Hardware and direct control sections we can code by using assembly language. Since assembly language advantage since it is very much hardware dependent, right? So when we are designing a very complex program, that particular complex part of the program can be written in high level language. C programming complex part of the program, and we can use assembly language for the sections that require the direct access of hardware. Okay, that facility is actually possible in embedded C, which is through inline assembly process. So these were the additional features of embedded C. So note that if you haven't written that. Now let's see some comparisons of C and embedded C. The first one says that a general purpose programming language, that is C, a general purpose programming language that allows structured programming. It is a general purpose programming language. When it becomes embedded C, it is actually a set of language extensions for C designed to address commonality issues that exist between C extensions for different embedded systems. You just write that is actually for a specified embedded system. Embedded C is actually developed for embedded systems. That's actually a subset of C. So that's why it will be having some extensions also. And the second point says about the developer. It is developed by C, is actually developed by Denison Ritchie, and embedded C developed by C Standards Committee. And the most important point is that C is actually hardware independent. C language is actually hardware independent, whereas in the case of embedded C, it will be hardware dependent. In case of C, standard compiler helps to compile and execute the program. No, normal compiler, native compilers. But in case of embedded C, we require cross compilers. That is, require specific compilers that are capable of generating microcontroller-based outputs. And you can see some compiler examples as well. Key compiler here in the case of C, you can see GNU, Turbo C, and all. Compilers generate operating system dependent executable files, and here compilers generate hardware dependent files. Native compiler in the case, it will be actually creating .exe files. And in case of embedded C, in case of cross compilers, that will be developing hex files. Hex files are hardware dependent files are generated here. And applications of C language are network drivers, interpreters, compilers, operating systems, and text editors are some example for C applications. And in case of embedded system, embedded C, they are being used for developing various embedded systems like robots, vehicle tracking systems, smart monitoring systems, etc. So these are the basic comparison between C and embedded C. One is with respect to the compiler that is available. C case will be having native compiler. Embedded C case will be having cross compiler. That itself gives you another comparison as well. C case you will be creating executable files, and in cross compiler you will be creating hex files. And then you can mention some of the examples. The cross compiler in the comparison points use here. Compiler in the case you can write example as Turbo C and all. So here you can use Heel compiler and all. Then another important feature is that it is hardware independent. C is actually hardware independent. Embedded C is hardware dependent. And this matter, in this manner, you can write the comparison. And then coming to C++, which is an object-oriented programming, you might have learned about the different concepts in object-oriented programming, right? Object-oriented programming concepts clear ano? What about your status in that object-oriented programming? Then it will be easy for you. This module main it will be related to what you learn in object-oriented programming. Class objects ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള terms ഒക്കെ നിങ്ങൾ പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടോ? OOPL? Are you aware of these terms? Okay. What is? Can you tell me the difference between class and object? നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അറിയായിരിക്കുമല്ലോ. ആരാ പറയാ? ശിശിര.
ക്ലാസ് എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ നമ്മള് ഓരോ ഇതിനെ പറ്റിയിട്ടും പ്രൈവറ്റ് പബ്ലിക് ഇങ്ങനെ ഓരോ സംഭവത്തിനെ പറ്റിയിട്ടും.
ഒബ്ജക്റ്റ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാലോ?
ഒബ്ജക്റ്റില് എന്നാ നമ്മൾ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു ഇപ്പൊ ഒബ്ജക്റ്റ് എക്സസൈസ് ഒക്കെ എന്നിട്ട് അതിലേക്ക് പ്രോഗ്രാം.
കേട്ടില്ല, ഒന്നുകൂടെ പറയൂ.
ഒബ്ജക്റ്റ് തന്നെ ഇപ്പം ന്യൂ എക്സസൈസ് ആയിട്ട് അങ്ങനെയെല്ലാം പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് പ്രോഗ്രാമിന്റെ ഇത് അറിയും.
സോ ഈ ടേംസ് ഒക്കെ നിങ്ങൾ കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഒബ്ജക്റ്റ് കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. യു മൈറ്റ് ഹാവ് ഹേർഡ് അബൌട്ട് ക്ലാസ്. ദെൻ ഈ ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ് നിങ്ങൾ കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ? ഇൻഹെറിറ്റൻസ്, ഡാറ്റ എൻക്യാപ്സുലേഷൻ, ദെൻ പോളിമോർഫിസം, ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ് കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ? യെസ്. Then tell me about inheritance. I am not going to discuss this entire things. I just want to deal with some of the properties. നമുക്ക് അത്യാവശ്യമുള്ള കുറച്ച് പ്രോപ്പർട്ടീസ് മാത്രം ഒബ്ജക്റ്റ് ഓറിയന്റഡ് പ്രോഗ്രാമിൽ നമുക്ക് അത്യാവശ്യമുള്ള കുറച്ച് പ്രോപ്പർട്ടീസ് മാത്രം ഒന്ന് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാം. യു ആർ അവെയർ ഓഫ് ഡാറ്റ എൻക്യാപ്സുലേഷൻ? ഡാറ്റ എൻക്യാപ്സുലേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഫീച്ചർ എന്താണെന്നുള്ളത്, by the way, these are actually some of the features of object oriented programming. അതിലെ ഡാറ്റ എൻക്യാപ്സുലേഷൻ കൊണ്ട് എന്താ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത് അറിയോ? What is that feature? Data encapsulation. Anyone? Abhijit.
സാർ അത് അങ്ങനെ എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല. ജസ്റ്റ് അതിന്റെ കോൺസെപ്റ്റ് പറയുമ്പം ആ വാക്ക് പറഞ്ഞതല്ലാതെ പ്രോഗ്രാമിൽ അത് വന്നിട്ടില്ല.
ഓക്കെ. അല്ല അങ്ങനെ പറയാം, കേട്ടില്ല സൗമ്യ.
അല്ല, റാപ്പിംഗ് ഓഫ് ഡാറ്റ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നു മിസ്.
യെസ്, റാപ്പിംഗ് ഓഫ് ഡാറ്റ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ you can say that data encapsulation in the sense, നമുക്ക് ഇപ്പം കുറെ ടേംസ് ഉണ്ട് ഇതില്. അബ്സ്ട്രാക്ഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു ടേം ഉണ്ട്. I am telling that with respect to object-oriented programming. There is a term called abstraction. Abstraction means, I will start with abstraction. Abstraction is actually a term which is meaning like, നമുക്കിപ്പം നമ്മൾ സാധാരണ പ്രൊജക്ടിനൊക്കെ അബ്സ്ട്രാക്ട്സ് ഉണ്ടാക്കില്ലേ. We won't be knowing the details. ഒരു പ്രൊജക്ട് നിങ്ങൾ അബ്സ്ട്രാക്ട് നമ്മളെ തരുമ്പം you have the basic thing, but you won't be giving us the details, അല്ലെ? അതുപോലെ തന്നെ abstraction means only the necessary things will be available to us, and the data, or the program behind that will not be visible, or that will be kept as hidden. That is a feature. Abstraction എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് that is a feature of object-oriented program. അതുപോലെ ഒരു ഫീച്ചർ ആണ് ഇൻഹെറിറ്റൻസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Inheritance means the features can be, or the properties can be inherited from another class. Class and objects, I think you are familiar. ഇതിനൊരു ഫിസിക്കൽ അനലോഗി വെച്ച് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പറയാമോ? അറ്റ്ലീസ്റ്റ് we will stop with that. ഫിസിക്കൽ അനലോഗി വെച്ചിട്ട് ഒബ്ജക്ട്സ്, ക്ലാസ് ഒരു ഡിഫറൻസ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പറയാമോ? അങ്ങനെ പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടോ? റിയൽ വേൾഡ് കൺസെപ്റ്റ് വെച്ചിട്ട് ഒബ്ജക്ട് ആൻഡ് ക്ലാസ്, ക്യാൻ യു ടെൽ ദി ഡിഫറൻസ്?
ക്ലാസ് ആനിമൽ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ആ ക്ലാസ്സിലെ നമ്മളിപ്പം അതിന്റെ 4 feet 2 eye 1 nose എന്നെല്ലാം ഡിഫൈൻ ചെയ്ത് കൊടുത്താൽ ഒബ്ജക്റ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പം ആ ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ് എല്ലാം ഉള്ള ആനിമൽ ആയിട്ട് മാറിക്കൂടെ, ഡോഗും കാറ്റും.
ഓക്കെ, ഒബ്ജക്റ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഓക്കെ, ഡോഗും കാറ്റും. ഓക്കെ, ശരി. ക്ലാസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്
ആയ ഒബ്ജക്ട്, എന്താ പറയാ, സിമിലർ ഫീച്ചർ ഉള്ള ഒബ്ജക്റ്റ് എല്ലാം ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ഓഫ് ഒബ്ജക്ട്സിനെ
നമുക്ക് ഒബ്ജക്റ്റിനെ നമ്മൾ ഡിഫൈൻ ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ആക്ച്വലി ഡിഫൈൻഡ് ആസ് ആൻ ഇൻസ്റ്റൻസ് ഓഫ്, ഇൻസ്റ്റൻസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു വാക്ക് കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ? ഇൻസ്റ്റൻസ് ഓഫ് ക്ലാസ്. ഇപ്പം പറഞ്ഞ ഇൻസ്റ്റൻസ് ഓഫ് ക്ലാസ്, നിങ്ങളിപ്പം ഈ പറഞ്ഞ എക്സാമ്പിൾ തന്നെ ബേർഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, ഇഫ് യു ആർ കൺസിഡറിങ് ഇറ്റ് ആസ് എ ക്ലാസ്, ബേർഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു റിയൽ വേൾഡ് എൻറ്റിറ്റി ആയിട്ട് ഞാൻ പറയുകയാണ്. റിയൽ വേൾഡ് എൻറ്റിറ്റിയിൽ ഇഫ് യു ആർ ടേക്കിംഗ് ബേർഡ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു കാറ്റഗറി, ഇഫ് യു ആർ ടേക്കിംഗ് ഇറ്റ് ആസ് എ ക്ലാസ്, ദെൻ ക്രോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വേറൊരു പാരറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ദാറ്റ് വിൽ കം ആസ് an instance of that particular class, അല്ലെ? പാരറ്റും ക്രോയും ഒക്കെ വരുന്നത് അതിന്റെ ഒരു ഇൻസ്റ്റൻസ് ആയിട്ടാണ്. ഈ പറയുന്ന ബേർഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന അതേ കാറ്റഗറിയിൽ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ we can say that the properties that a bird has that will be common to these two objects, അല്ലെ? ഈ രണ്ട് ഒബ്ജക്ട്സിൽ ലൈക്ക് ക്രോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പാരറ്റ് അല്ലെ വേറെ കുറെ ബേർഡ്സ്, ആ ബേർഡ്സിലൊക്കെ they will be sharing some common properties, അല്ലെ? കോമൺ പ്രോപ്പർട്ടീസ് ഓഫ് ദി ക്ലാസ്. ആ ക്ലാസിന്റെ കോമൺ പ്രോപ്പർട്ടീസ് ഷെയർ ചെയ്യുന്നതായിരിക്കും ഈ പറയുന്ന ഒബ്ജക്ട്സ്. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇപ്പം നിങ്ങളുടെ ക്ലാസ് എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ യു സേ ദാറ്റ് സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് ക്ലാസ് ഈസ് ആക്ച്വലി നമ്മുടെ ക്ലാസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, നിങ്ങളുടെ ക്ലാസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് തന്നെ ഇറ്റ്സ് വിൽ ബി കൺസിഡർ ഇറ്റ് ആസ് എ ക്ലാസ്. അതിലെ ഒരാളാണ്, ഇപ്പം ഒരാളുടെ പേര് എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ യു വിൽ ബി ഹാവിംഗ് സം പ്രോപ്പർട്ടീസ് ലൈക്ക് യുവർ നെയിം, റോൾ നമ്പർ ആൻഡ് ഓൾ. ആൻഡ് അനദർ പേഴ്സൺ, ഇഫ് യു ആർ ടേക്കിംഗ് അനദർ പേഴ്സൺ, നിങ്ങളുടെ ക്ലാസ് തന്നെയുള്ള വേറൊരാളുടെ പേര് എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ യു വിൽ ബി ഹാവിംഗ് അഗെയിൻ നെയിം, റോൾ നമ്പർ ആൻഡ് സം സിമിലർ ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ്, അല്ലെ? അത് ഈ ക്ലാസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ആ ഒരു കാറ്റഗറിയിൽ വരുന്ന എല്ലാവർക്കും ഈ പറയുന്ന സെയിം പ്രോപ്പർട്ടീസ് ഉണ്ടാവും, അല്ലെ? നിങ്ങളുടെ ക്ലാസ്സിലുള്ള എല്ലാവർക്കും ഈ പറയുന്ന നെയിമും റോൾ നമ്പറും ഡേറ്റ് ഓഫ് ജോയിനിങ്ങും റിസൾട്ടും എല്ലാം ഉണ്ട്, അല്ലെ? ഈ പറയുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം ഉണ്ട്. സോ ക്ലാസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഇറ്റ്സ് ആക്ച്വലി ഓൺ ടോപ്പ് ഓഫ് ഒബ്ജക്ട്. ക്ലാസിന്റെ ഒരു സബ്സെറ്റ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ഇൻസ്റ്റൻസ് ആയിട്ടാണ് നമുക്ക് ഒബ്ജക്ട് പറയാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്. I will take in the next class. അപ്പം ഞാൻ അതിന്റെ ഒരു ബേസിക് കൺസെപ്റ്റ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പറയാം, അറ്റ്ലീസ്റ്റ് സം ഓഫ് ദി പ്രോബ്ലംസ്. You can mark your attendance now.